Okay, so thank you to those who in the previous video commented in the comment section below. Kelowna Rockets, because we wanted to get the double feature in there. Stick around to the end of this Canadiens video for a chance to be featured in the next one. Now, on to today's topic. This is a doozy. I have to go about things and choose my words very carefully, because whenever we talk about this guy, there always seems to be two sides in the comment section below, so I'm gonna go out there on a limb and try to be as neutral as possible while also sticking to things that we have already known that have happened in the past, because when it comes to taking sides on, for example, the story of a player like this, there are opinions that you can have, but there are also real facts and stories, documented stories that have happened in the past that we can also retell as well. So today we're talking about the Montreal Canadiens and New York Rangers property, I guess? I was about to say defenseman, but no. Not too sure that's the proper word to use here. We're talking about Tony DeAngelo. I think everybody kind of has their own idea of DeAngelo already set in place. He was a Tampa Bay pick back in 2014, a top-round prospect. He was traded several times. Arizona, New York, spent some time with the Rangers, was very productive with the Rangers last season, but this season, due to some off-ice controversies, it led him to a position where now he is just completely out of it. The Rangers are in a spot where they don't want him in their locker room, and AHL teams are in a spot where there are other clubs out there in the American Hockey League that don't want to get this guy on. He's been sitting at home waiting for a trade, waiting for something to happen in order to kickstart his playing career once again. We've documented the entire Tony DeAngelo trade saga, what actually happened as to why he's even in this position in the first place, and we've spoken about some of the other things that he has been a part of as well in previous parts of his NHL, OHL career even. So you can go ahead, search up Tony DeAngelo, LegoRocks99 to actually take a look at our scoops on what has happened. But things got a little bit interesting on trade deadline day when Darren Dreger made a tweet that got a lot of Canadiens fans really passionate, I guess I'll say. The New York Rangers were willing to mutually terminate Tony DeAngelo's contract to allow him to pass through waivers and sign as a free agent. The Montreal Canadiens believed to be very interested as early as this weekend. However, Tony DeAngelo opted not to accept the mutual termination, and he will be bought out of his contract this summer. So what that means is Tony DeAngelo was approached by the New York Rangers and they asked him, hey, we want to mutually terminate your contract here. What's mutual termination? That's a process where the team and the player both agree, okay, the contract is done. We're not going to have ourselves any commitments either way anymore. I'm not going to be a part of the Rangers organization, and you guys aren't going to pay me any more money. Mutual contract termination happens when a player wants a fresh start and they're willing to accept the monetary deficiencies that would happen if they take the termination. For example, Nikita Gusev, a very good example because it just happened. He got his contract terminated with the New Jersey Devils, which allowed him to sign with the Florida Panthers later in the same week. But when he had that termination with New Jersey taken out, it was all of a sudden void. All the money that was left to pay out to him, and the Devils no longer actually had to pay that. So when you're a hockey player in a position like Tony DeAngelo is in, where you're getting paid every day you are on an NHL roster, mutual termination is a big part because you're no longer going to get that paycheck, although you're going to have the freedom to go out and sign wherever you want. If Tony DeAngelo agreed to a termination with the Rangers, he would have lost $1 million this year and $5.3 million next year. If he's bought out in the summer instead, he will lose $3.53 million, which is 2/3 of his next year's $5.3 million salary, and so waiting for a buyout will save him $2.76 million. So from the economical point of view, it makes a whole bunch of sense as to why Tony DeAngelo was like, okay, I'm not going to accept this termination. I have another year on my contract after this. If I just stay put, if I wait, and you guys buy me out then, I'm still going to get some extra money here, so I'm just going to sit out. No, I'm not going to accept a mutual contract termination. It's not mutual. It's only you who wants to do this, so yeah, I'm good. But the rumor that Darren Dreger is putting out here, that the Canadiens were very interested in signing a newly free agented, that's not even a verb, a newly turned free agent Tony DeAngelo, should he have accepted the mutual contract termination, is the big deal. And in fact, it's reinforced even further by Elliotte Friedman, who on the 31 Thoughts podcast earlier yesterday said this: "The Montreal Canadiens decided they wanted to give DeAngelo a look, but they didn't want to pick up the $5 million for next year, right? So what was going to happen was DeAngelo and the Rangers were going to have to agree to a termination, and the Canadiens were planning to sign him to a contract for next year. I don't know the exact number, but basically, from what I've heard, it was going to make DeAngelo whole. Because DeAngelo is under 26. He's only getting bought out for 1/3 of the amount that his contract is worth next year, and not 2/3, and so by not accepting the termination, he saves just under $3 million. I think Montreal was going to make him pretty close to whole. That's what I understood. Between next year and this year, he was going to be close to whole. Pretty much what that means is, Friedman is saying, if the Rangers successfully mutually terminated DeAngelo's contract, Bergevin would have signed him to a contract then that would have been near the amount of money that DeAngelo was going to lose with the termination, just so he is getting the proper amount. But, Friedman continues, however, Tony DeAngelo decided not to do it, and he will take the buyout. He turned down the Montreal Canadiens. What I think is that he believes there's going to be other opportunities for him, and maybe there's something that he thinks is better, but he does seem to believe there's going to be opportunities for him, and we'll see. We'll see where it goes in the offseason, but Montreal was definitely interested, and they offered him a contract for next year that was gonna, if not make him whole, come pretty close to it. Now, a lot of Canadiens fans have their opinions about this, and the reason why is because Marc Bergevin over the past few years has been very adamant on the importance of building a good locker room, getting good character guys, not just good hockey players out there, but good people in the locker room as well, to breed positive social habits within the environment of the hockey team. And now it's coming out from Darren Dreger of TSN and Elliotte Friedman of Sportsnet that Tony DeAngelo, one of the guys whose reputation amongst other NHL general managers, fans, media, is so opposite of what exactly it is Bergevin has built over the past few years, that it's getting a lot of people confused. We have a lot of people doubting the legitimacy as to whether or not the Canadiens actually wanted to go out there and get DeAngelo, because DeAngelo's reputation is so bad. Now, you may be asking to yourself, okay, why is it so bad? Well, he had a fight with his backup goaltender, which is why he is not even playing for the Rangers in the first place. There has been documented issues of attitude and entitlement within locker rooms, and going back to his junior days, he called somebody a racial slur on the ice, and no, it was not an opponent, it was his own teammate. This is the kind of guy that, in terms of how people perceive him, there are so many other stories that have come about as to what exactly makes him just not that good of a person, which is why Marc Bergevin, in this position where it looks like he is going out there and wanting to get him, is tough for Canadiens fans to believe. But that's Tony DeAngelo the guy. When it comes to Tony DeAngelo the player, hey, there are a lot of reasons to understand why a general manager would want this kind of guy. As we said, last year he was just under a point per game, 53 points, 68 games played as a right-handed defenseman. That's crazy good. Now, you can say what you want about his defensive game, but like it or not, Tony DeAngelo was a productive, offensive, power play quarterback defenseman last season, and off-ice conflicts combined with his overall lack of defensive play this year are ultimately the two catalysts as to why he is in this position in the first place. So, if this story is true, it is kind of weird that Bergevin was out there going at it. I mean, I understand why he would want a player like DeAngelo. It's just, from everything we know Marc Bergevin values, it's kind of weird to me why he would want somebody like DeAngelo in the locker room around the team and, you know, just being a guy on the squad. And it is kind of interesting just to see that the Canadiens would have been able to get it done, or they wanted to get it done, if it weren't for DeAngelo himself saying, okay, no, I'll take the extra $2.6 million. I want that money. So that's kind of my own opinion about it. You can talk to me in the comments what you think. Obviously, you know, this is all just hearsay when it comes to the rumors and Montreal and all that. But yeah, I want you to talk to me in the comments what you think about DeAngelo fighting with his own goaltender, temper tantrums, entitlement issues, racial slurs as well. He's had his fair share of movement around the NHL. And Montreal, apparently, according to Dreger and Friedman, apparently put themselves in a position where they wanted to be the next stop. So talk to me in the comments what you think. If you made it to the end of this video, comment down in the comment section Nicolas Cage, because Tony DeAngelo made himself a home on the Sarnia Sting in the OHL, which is a team that represents a B, and when I think about Bs, I think about Nick Cage. So talk to me in the comments, Nick Cage, for a chance to be featured in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this video. Trolls 99, and bye.